We used two of the most advanced AI models to create two characters. We will put them face to face. Their arguments will be evaluated by 5 independent AI models across multiple criteria, scored from 0 to 100. This is AI Debates. How would partial student loan cancellation affect consumer spending?
Partial student loan cancellation sounds like it would boost spending, but the impact is small and misleading. First, most forgiven debt is held by higher-income households, doctors, lawyers, MBAs who already spend plenty. They'd likely save or invest the extra cash, not rush to buy TVs. Second, studies like one from the Brookings Institution show that past relief programs increase spending by just 10 to 20 cents per dollar forgiven. That's a weak stimulus. Third, taxpayers foot the bill hundreds of billions. That means higher taxes or cuts elsewhere, pulling money out of other people's pockets and slowing their spending. Finally, any short-term bump fades fast, while the cost stays forever. Bottom line, it's not a smart way to juice the economy. We'd get far more spending power by cutting taxes for everyone or fixing the real drivers of high costs. Targeted help for the truly struggling. Yes. Blanket cancellation. No, it's costly, unfair, and barely moves the needle on consumer spending. Partial student loan cancellation would likely increase consumer spending by freeing up monthly income that borrowers currently direct toward loan payments. When people have fewer mandatory debts, they tend to spend more on essentials, housing, transportation, and small businesses. This added spending circulates through the economy, supporting jobs and local growth. Borrowers with lower incomes, who are most likely to spend additional dollars rather than save them, would provide the strongest stimulus effect.
Could debt cancellation stimulate entrepreneurship?
The idea that canceling student debt frees people to start businesses sounds nice, but it doesn't hold up. Most new entrepreneurs don't cite student debt as their main barrier. Access to capital, experience, and fear of failure rank higher. The Kauffman Foundation shows founders are older, often mid-career, and many already paid off or never had big loans. Forgiving debt mainly helps high earners with grad degrees, think dentists and lawyers who already launch firms at high rates. It's not unlocking the next generation of garage startups. Worse, it sends a signal: borrow big, the taxpayer will bail you out. That encourages riskier degrees and schools, not bolder businesses. Real entrepreneurship boosters. Lower regulatory burdens, better capital access, tax reform. Not a one-time debt wipe that mostly rewards past choices. Targeted relief for truly crushed borrowers. Fine. Blanket cancellation as startup fuel. Myth. It's expensive virtue signaling, not serious policy. Yes, partial student loan cancellation could stimulate entrepreneurship by reducing the financial risk that deters many would-be founders. High monthly loan payments limit the cash flow and savings needed to start a business. With less debt, individuals can take career risks, secure credit more easily, and invest in early-stage costs. Research shows that heavy student debt correlates with lower business formation. Easing that burden would help unlock innovation and widen participation in the entrepreneurial economy.
What effect might it have on homeownership rates?
Look, the claim is that wiping out student debt instantly turns renters into homeowners. Reality check. Yes, lower debt improves debt-to-income ratios. On paper. But the average forgiven borrower is 35 to 45, often with grad degrees and solid incomes. Many already own homes or easily qualify for mortgages. The Fed's own data shows student debt delays home buying by only about 2 to 3 years for most. Meanwhile, the policy costs $400 billion plus. That's higher future taxes or inflation, which raises interest rates and home prices, exactly what crushes first-time buyers. We saw this movie in 2022. Mortgage rates spiked, affordability tanked, handing windfalls to upper-middle-class borrowers while inflating away everyone else's savings is the opposite of pro-homeownership. Want more owners? Build more houses, cut zoning madness, keep rates low. Don't do a massive wealth transfer that bids up prices even more. Net effect of blanket cancellation? Probably zero or negative on homeownership rates. Partial student loan cancellation could modestly increase homeownership rates, especially among younger adults. Student debt lowers credit scores, raises debt-to-income ratios, and makes it harder to save for a down payment. All key barriers to qualifying for a mortgage. Reducing balances alleviates these constraints, allowing more borrowers to meet lending standards sooner. While not a full solution to housing affordability, Cancellation would remove a major financial hurdle that delays many first-time buyers.
Would partial cancellation meaningfully reduce generational wealth gaps?
Look, this is sold as closing the racial and generational wealth gap, but the numbers don't lie. Black and Hispanic borrowers hold more debt on average. But the biggest dollar winners from blanket cancellation are white grad degree holders, doctors, lawyers, MBAs who owe six-figure sums. Wharton's study found the top 40% of income earners would get 60% plus of the forgiveness. That's upside-down redistribution. Within racial groups, the benefits still flow to the already advantaged, college grads from higher income families. Low-income non-completers who dropped out with debt get almost nothing because their balances are smaller. Real wealth gap fix: early education, trade schools, community college reform, home buying assistance for first-gen buyers. Not a trillion-dollar check mostly to people who will be in the top half of earners anyway. Blanket cancellation widens inequality between degree holders and non-degree holders, and inside minority communities, it helps the privileged first. It's performative, not progressive. Yes, partial cancellation would meaningfully reduce generational wealth gaps, though not eliminate them. Student debt falls disproportionately on first-generation students and borrowers from lower wealth families, especially black borrowers who often graduate with higher balances and slow repayment progress. By cutting principal, we free up income for saving, investing, and homeownership, key drivers of long-term wealth. It's not a substitute for structural reforms, but it is a concrete step toward narrowing these gaps.
Could selective cancellation increase long-term GDP?
Listen, the big promise is that selective cancellation unleashes all this trapped human capital and grows the economy long-term. The math doesn't work. Best estimates from Moody's, Penn Wharton, Fed models put the permanent GDP boost at 0.1% to 0.3% over decades. That's tiny. For $400, $800 billion spent, you're buying a rounding error while adding to the deficit. Why so weak? Because the forgiven borrowers were already highly educated and employed. You're not turning dropouts into engineers, you're giving a windfall to people who'd earn $80,000 to $100,000 anyway. Real long-term growth comes from more innovation, more housing, better K-12, cheaper college, or broad tax and regulatory cuts that lift everyone. Not a one-time transfer to the credentialed class. Even selective forgiveness, say, only undergrad or low income, still mostly helps future high earners and fuels tuition inflation, which hurts tomorrow's growth. Bottom line, it's a lousy investment. We'd grow GDP way more by spending half that cost on trade schools or infrastructure. Yes, selective cancellation targeted to low and middle-income borrowers could increase long-term GDP. When people face less debt pressure, they invest more in housing, businesses, and career development, all of which raise productivity. Lower debt also improves credit access, helping borrowers pursue education or job mobility that boosts lifetime earnings. The fiscal cost is real, but the long-run gains in workforce participation, innovation, and consumer demand can outweigh it, lifting overall economic growth.